Flies pretty well. Whoa. Yeah, boy! Nice one, Tom. So I'm back in the UK now, and funnily enough, the sun's come out. But luckily I didn't fly all the way to Madeira just to test fly the Paramotor. I actually went out there for a wedding. So quick congratulations to Richard and Poppy for getting married, and thank you very much for inviting me. And hopefully it made for a good Paramotor test video. Now that quick music edit didn't really show much about the Paramotor, so I'm going to move the camera a bit closer and show you through the design features. So this is the version 2 Paramotor. If you haven't seen my version 1 Paramotor, then I'll link it down in the description below. But I'm going to run through all the modifications and improvements that I've made to this. First of all, I'm just going to mention about the wing. It's still the standard Hobby King wing, which cost me about £15, maybe $18, $20, something like that. It's a dirt cheap wing. However, it is a terrible wing out of the box, or, well, it comes in a bag. It needs a lot and lots of tuning. All of the lines are just all over the place. I actually went through all of the lines and CA glued all of the knots because the lines were just forever coming untied. But if you have the patience and the time, then you can get it tuned, as you've seen in my video just now. So let's move on to the main body of the Paramotor. The first thing you'll notice is that it has dual motors. On the version 1 Paramotor, there was one larger motor in the middle with an 8-inch propeller, and on this one, as you can see, there are two motors with two smaller 5-inch propellers. And this is to completely eradicate the torque produced by a single motor and propeller. Although in the version 1 video I made that torque compensator, which was that shroud thing that went in front of the propeller, it did counteract the torque at cruise speed. However, throughout the throttle ranges it wasn't perfect. When I tried to gain altitude with the Paramotor, it would apply too much torque for the compensator to reduce it, and it will cause the Paramotor to always turn to one side when gaining altitude, which was a bit of a pain. So using these two motors completely gets rid of any torque that's produced. The other thing is that these motors and propellers are usually designed for use in racing drones, and they kick out a lot of thrust. I think, well, they're probably at least a kilo of thrust per motor and propeller. So yeah, it's chucking out quite a lot of thrust. On the version 1 Paramotor, when I went into a really tight turn, the Paramotor would lose quite a lot of altitude, even at full throttle. Whereas now, I can pretty much do the tightest turn possible, at least as far as this wing will allow it, and this will just pull out of it pretty easily. The only downside to having this much power is that the wing needs to be tuned really, really well in terms of the angle of attack. If I apply too much power in a climb, the wing almost does like a tip stool and it just sort of waddles about, which I'll show you a video of me trying to take off in Madeira right now.
I got no control, man. It's just like all over the place.
Oh my god!
It's pretty well.
I apologise. It does not look safe.
It's like it's got too much power.
Oh my god!
Maybe you can decrease power a little bit. That's great.
Yeah, I thought I'd leave that out of the music edit. But as you can see, I was trying to apply quite a bit of throttle to try and gain some altitude, and the wing just wasn't going anywhere. Since I've got back from Madeira, I've actually spent a bit more time tuning the wing, and I can get it to climb altitude at pretty high throttles now, without doing that weird tip stall effect. What I did is I decreased the angle of attack on the wing tips so that the centre bit stalls first, which is kind of, I took that knowledge from plane experience that you normally have the flaps in the centre of the wing for the most amount of lift there, so the centre stalls first. But yeah, it's pretty complex trying to get this wing to fly well. So the other features of this Paramotor is that it's quite a bit narrower than the version 1. If I just grab the version 1 frame, you can see that it's quite a bit narrower, so it's slightly more aerodynamic. It probably doesn't need to be, but a lot of it was due to I didn't want to cover up too much space in front of the propeller, because having a propeller blocked by, you know, a big sort of body bit is not really great for efficiency, and also it normally makes the propeller a lot more noisier. The other thing is that this is 26 centimeters wide, so if I were to make the body wider and still not have it covering up the propellers as much, I'd have to move these out, and then I need a bigger print bed because my printer's probably not large enough for that. Because the body is narrower, I've had to move the servos one in front of each other. As you can see, the distance from the back there and the distance from the back there. This doesn't seem to be an issue because it's the length of the strings that adjust the wing instead of, you know, on a plane with the push rods. If you look from the top, you can see one arm looks shorter than the other, but they actually are the same length and they pull the strings by the same amount when they move. The battery compartment is now a tray rather than just strapping the batteries to a flat plate. Now I designed this specifically for these 4-cell 1800 milliamp batteries, lithium polymer batteries, but they simply sit in there. There's a small lip at the front here which prevents them sliding out at the bottom, and then the Velcro strap goes around the top. Then I've got this parallel connector here, and I just plug it in like that. So I'm just going to turn it on and give you a quick demonstration of the servos. And I probably shouldn't touch the throttle. So the way it's set up is that the servos are at max travel at the top, and if I push forwards they can't go any further. If I pull back they go down, and then if I do the aileron they move side to side. So it's pretty basic setup. In fact, if I move them all the way down and then do aileron, they actually go extra far. Let me just unplug that before I accidentally throttle it up again. Tell you what, let's put this thing on the scales. So it weighs 881.8 grams, so nearly 900 grams. I reckon it could probably do with a bit more weight. In the wind, I think it might need a bit more weight to try and pull or at least lift the sail forwards a bit, and it will fly into the wind a bit better. However, that's not too bad. Maybe I could stick another battery on the front of there. I'm not quite sure. The way that the wing hangs, sorry, the way that the paramotor body part hangs, it tilts forwards a bit. I don't know if you can see that because all the batteries are at the front. However, once the thrust is on, it sort of levels it out a bit. It doesn't seem to cause any issues being like that. It seems to fly really well actually. It still doesn't glide very well. If I shut the throttle off, it pretty much turns into a parachute. It just sort of sinks down. I think that pretty much covers everything about this paramotor. Apart from, actually one more thing. I printed everything this way in case you're wondering, and this whole body section, apart from that red lid that covers up the electronics, is all one piece. Obviously the arms are separate pieces, but the main body section is all one piece with this propeller guard, which is quite nice. Yeah, that sums it up, I think. There we have it, the version 2 remote control paramotor, using the budget Hobby King wing and a few 3D printed parts. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, please click subscribe. Huge thanks to all my patrons for supporting me. You guys make these weekly videos possible, and I'm going to end this video with a small music montage of all the other drone shots I got from the Madeira holiday. So, thank you, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Just enjoy, take my